Senate Majority Whip, Wyoming Senator John Barrasso. Senator, thank you so much for joining us. I do appreciate it. I want to start with Iran because there has been a 400% increase in the number of ships moving through the Strait of Hormuz. You're close to the president. You were traveling with him in South Carolina as he was out there helping to campaign for his pick for the Senate there in South Carolina. But what do you think is going to happen? What will these economic sanctions look like, and what do you think the effect will be on Iran?
Well, the president is always focused on American safety and American affordability. And in terms of Iran, we have to make sure they never get a nuclear weapon. That's the way that we keep ourselves safe. And then in terms of affordability, once the straits are completely open, with America right now producing more oil than any place else in the world, prices will not just come down, they will stay down long time. And that's the contrast with the Democrats. You know, they love $5 a gallon gasoline because they wanted to force people into electric vehicles. So what we see now is an Iranian military that is its weakest ever. Their leadership has been wiped out. Their economy is in shambles, and they're still dangerous. So the president's right to focus on it, and now he's going even further economically. And as you said, tomorrow is D-Day for the economy in Iran.
So in addition to the economic sanctions that have already been in place, how much worse could it possibly be for the 90 million people of Iran? I just don't understand why we keep saying, oh, we're going to impose more sanctions. Like, why not put everything out there and then just say, that's it? Like, how come there's so much more in our quiver? How many quivers do we have to do this? What is going to be new about tomorrow?
Well, we'll see what the Secretary of Treasury has to say about that. But it does seem to me that the suffering that's going on in Iran right now, the maximum sanctions being applied, are the things that are going to make Iran finally say, you're right, we were wrong, no nuclear weapon, straits open, let's get back to probably trying to get some sort of a life to the future.
I hope you're right. I hope the president's right on this one. Talk to me about Canada, Senator. We trade an awful lot with Canada. $28 billion is. I heard the Ambassador Greer, Jameson Greer, U.S. Trade Representative, is also an ambassador, talk about this. But the problems are really coming out of China and out of Canada, our next door neighbor.
Well, you're absolutely right. The president has been very consistent, and he's saying, we're not going to let people take advantage of us. We're going to protect American jobs, and we're going to bring more jobs back to our country. So I was with the president on Air Force One when Canada walked away from the table, and we got the call from the secretary who was talking to the president about this. Look, we've been a long-term trading partner. President Trump put new tariffs in effect. Canada has now said they're going to do that come September 8th. That may or may not be. This is a time when it would be in the best interest of Canada. It'd be wise for them to come back to the table, have the discussions, and make sure that we move forward, because we need to continue trade with Canada. But the president is very consistent. We're going to make sure to protect our workers and bring jobs back to America.
And Senator, I also got to quickly ask you about the craziness, the crazy town that is today's Democratic Party with the socialists and I think the communists that are over there. What in the world is going on with the Democrats these days?
Well, they have gone as far to the left as you can possibly imagine. Republicans are focused on making America safer and more affordable. And look who's winning these primaries now. It takes away all of those things. These Democrats who are winning, and they did it in Michigan, they did it in Minnesota, they did it now in Florida. They want to make life worse for the American people. They're talking about opening up the prisons. They're talking about, opening up the borders. They want to shut down the military. They want to shut down the police. They want to shut down Immigrations and Customs Enforcement. They want to release criminals in our communities. It seems to me like they're an anti-American hate group, and they have this manifesto. And when you read through it, this seems to be destined to destroy America. They want to take private property, take businesses. They're radical, extreme, dangerous, scary. When they say they're going to do the things they want to do, I believe them, which is why I believe any vote for any Democrat just enables this. The Democrats in the Senate say it's the path to the future. It's the future of their party. It cannot be the future for our country, Jason. The American people want better than that. They want to have safe communities to which to live. They want to have things that are affordable. And we're not seeing that with these Democrats who want to undo what we've done with our legislation. They want to put taxes back on tips, on Social Security, and on overtime. What do they want to use the money for? To pay for health care for illegal immigrants. Their candidate in Michigan, what did he say? He said he wants to change the Second Amendment, get rid of the idea of protecting our right to bear arms. They want it to be our right for health care. And that's the big difference right now.
Last question here. Part of winning the midterms is getting the base excited. When you don't pass the Save America Act, when there's $40 trillion in debt, when there's $4 a gallon gasoline, and we're involved and engaged in Iran, what do you say to the base to say you've got to keep us in power or it's going to get even worse?
Well, the president addressed that in South Carolina. We were there with Darlene Graham, who's a wonderful candidate. The runoff is this Tuesday. In terms of the Save America Act, the president and I talked about it as well. I am 100% with the president on the Save America Act. We need to make sure that you have to be an American citizen to register to vote. You have to be showing a photo ID in order to vote. The reason it's hasn't passed so far is every Democrat votes against it. Every Republican has voted for it. And why haven't the Democrats voted for it?
Not every Republican.
Every Republican in the Senate has voted for the two components that I mentioned. And the reason the Democrats don't want it is they've let 10 million illegal immigrants into this country. Yeah. The Democrats want to make it easier for them to vote. And these radicals that are now been nominated, they want to make them citizens and vote. That's why we need to elect more Republicans. We need more Republicans elected this year in November. Every Republican needs to get out and vote because we know what the Democrats will do to the party, what they're doing with their party, and what they would do to the country is scary. It was bad. We would be less safe. We would have less money in our pockets, and common sense Americans understand overwhelmingly and support the Save America Act and know that
Senator,
with the debt we have, the government is too big. It spends too much. We're not taxed too little. We spend too much.
Yeah, the tax cuts have been good, but you got to cut spending too, and that has not happened. Senator John Barrasso, thank you so much for joining us on Sunday Morning Futures. We do appreciate it.